Hello, gorgeous. My name is Betha, and I do readings for strangers on the internet. Today, we are getting a read on your energy, your vibes, and kind of how you've been feeling recently. So, in the first area of the reading, we are going to get an overall reading of your energy, and then we're going to look into the current vibes of what's going on. And then further, we're going to get into tarot to see how other people and people surrounding you might perceive you as well. So if you are interested in this reading today, I have four options in front of us. I know, one more. Interesting. So we have the Miller Lite bottle top here, a little piece of a seashell here, a little butterfly mirror pendant here, and these matchsticks at the end. So whichever pile seems to be drawing you in, whichever one piques your interest, whichever one you feel like you vibe with the best is going to be the one for you. And I will have timestamps in the description below so you can just skip right to your personal reading. So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Hello to my group one. To those of you who chose the Miller Lite bottle top, this is going to be a reading. Today we are exploring your energy. I'm just getting a read on current vibes of what you're going through, kind of an overall arching of your energy and what we can pick up on, and then we're going to get a couple of tarot cards out afterwards to get an idea of how other people perceive you. So already I started with a song message, and for you guys I got American Idiot by Green Day, and paired with your crystal card here, which is the rock crystal. I'm getting very rebellious vibes with this group. If you're interested in listening to the song, by the way, that will be linked in the description below. But like I said, I am getting rebel vibes with this group. Rock Crystal card here says, clarity, purity, energy. It's time to go your own way. Rock Crystal centers you and guides you to find your aim in life. And with that, I also kind of get like, I feel like in your friend group or family, you are the pep talk people. You're the people that if somebody is in a down place or is just not feeling like they can keep going or feels a little directionless in life, you are the person that picks them back up on their feet and you give them that driving force, horsepower energy to just bust through and keep going. I also kind of get with that rebellion energy that you guys really do pave your own way in life and you kind of don't give a shit what anybody has to say about it. It's very like, it's creative for the sake of breaking the mold. I'm getting very like anti-establishment, fuck the government, confrontational, don't care about it, not afraid of confrontation, not afraid to shy away if something's going to get heated, stubborn to their opinion, very just strong within themselves. You are somebody who is self-assured, assertive, and not afraid to speak your mind. I really pick up on this, like I said, this rebelliousness for change, this desire to break the mold. If we were talking about being in a protest, you are the person holding the megaphone and directing the party because you know the kind of change that you want to inspire in this world and you are strong in your right and wrong and what you think is right and what you think needs to change. For your current energy here, besides this powerhouse that I am seeing, somebody who is not going to settle and is going to fight for what's right, we have the Eight of Pentacles followed by the Six of Swords. So for the current energy I'm seeing you in, I'm kind of seeing you, I get this image of a deflated balloon. And this could be because of the emotional energy we're about to talk about, or it could be the sort of burnout that you've been feeling recently. And I think they're both tied together. Because within the Six of Swords here, I see this reluctance and resistance to move on from something. This could be some information that you have been privy to recently, or a certain situation that has unfolded that made you realize that you need to walk away from someone or something. And there's this hesitancy to it, whether it is because of this stubborn energy that I see you hold, or because it's something that you really cared about and it's hard to part from. But I think this resistance to grieve is kind of piling into this Eight of Pentacles in reverse energy where we're seeing procrastination in something. We are seeing, I get this image of somebody who's kind of like on the ground, using their arms to army crawl their way forward because they just don't have it in them to keep walking. And whether this be a specific project, personal development, or maybe something within your career, this hesitancy to move forward with something, this procrastination energy, I'm kind of getting this vibe of like, the only way out is through. And it kind of also stemmed in the song lyrics, I can do it with a broken heart. And it's this idea that even through this grieving, while you might be resistant to it, I think it's that within the releasing and the letting go of this, that you're going to find less resistance in moving forward. But there still has to be a way. A spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. So even if these are coinciding and it might be a little easier or a little lighter to move forward as you're grieving because you're releasing that grief energy, there's also an ask of, you know, that a lot of times you enjoy these tasks or this thing that you're supposed to be doing. I do get this vibe that there is some intrinsic motivation here. Like, this is something you want to see progress on at the very least. If it's not something that you care to work for, this is something you want to see the results of. But I do get the vibe from most of you that this is something that you genuinely enjoy doing once you're doing it, but there's been this obstinance, this stagnancy to this. And like I said, I think the advice for that is a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. Find a way to make this fun again, whether that be changing routine, changing the way that you look at it so you can find more enjoyment in it, or just little dopamine hacks throughout the day. You know, treating yourself every time you get a task on your to-do list done, or giving yourself that operant classical conditioning of a treat every time you've done the thing that you didn't want to do until you start to enjoy it. But I'm hearing there's a method to the madness. So maybe there's something that somebody has told you recently as a piece of advice to try to move forward with it. And it sounded crazy, or it didn't sound like it was going to work, or it just didn't really mesh with your vibe. And this is where you're being asked to kind of step out of that stubborn energy for a second and just try it. Give it a shot. And, you know, if it fails, then it fails. Whatever. Pick up the pieces and move on. Failure kind of rang a bell in my head for this group. So I'm wondering if there's almost this perfectionist energy here that doesn't like outwardly, it isn't outwardly seen, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think your friends or family would pick up too much on the fact that you might be a perfectionist. I think this is something that you kind of keep to yourself, in the fact that, like, it's not so much you're afraid to put results out there if they're imperfect, but I kind of get this energy of, like, somebody who's beating themselves up when things don't turn out the way they want them to, rather than celebrating when there's progress in something. And the example that comes to mind is, say you're performing live on stage, you have a solo, and you may have flubbed up the words. This is your first time performing. You may have flubbed up the words, you might have gone flat at a certain note, but all you can really fixate on afterwards is the fact that you had flubbed up in the moment. When in reality, you should take that as a win, that you actually went forward in something most people don't even put the effort in to try. And then take notes for next time on how you can change, perfect, and perform better. Congratulate yourself for the steps forward rather than constantly trying to delete and rewrite and revise how you're doing something. You know, there should be a little bit of praise in the fact that you did anything at all, rather than immediately trying to figure out what needs to change or what went wrong, if that makes sense. I also forgot to mention that zodiac signs that might resonate for this group are any prominent Capricorn or Gemini placements. Like they said, they may resonate, they may not. That's totally up to your discretion. Take what resonates and leave the rest. But with this, I'm kind of feeling like you guys might need a pep talk yourself right now. And as scary as it might be to open up, there is somebody in your life, I assure you, whether it be a friend, family member, pet, therapist, somebody in your life right now that I think if you were to talk to them about some of the struggles you were going through, they could kind of help give back that energy that you give to others to say, hey, keep going. You've got this, babe. And I think you're kind of being called to lean on that shoulder right now, whoever that is for you. But I think that's good for the overall reading here. Let's get into a couple of tarot cards to see further. How do other people perceive you? What is the energy that other people pick up on when it comes to you? How do other people see you when they meet you? Ace of Swords in reverse. Empress in reverse, Page of Pentacles, and the bottom of the deck is the Three of Cups in reverse. Starting with the Ace of Swords here, I think this goes hand in hand with that stubborn energy that we were talking about, where when you are set on a decision, an idea, or a certain way you want to be about things, you're not changing your mind or opinion for anybody. Starting with this Ace of Swords in reverse, I feel like it goes hand in hand with that energy we were talking about you being a stubborn rebel. People see that once you have your mind set up on something, once you see things laying out a specific way, there is nothing that is going to change your opinion. You are going to stand firm and tall in your beliefs. And I think I'm kind of hearing sharp tongue. So for some of you guys, hand in hand with that, you're unafraid of confrontation. You don't care how you come across to people within your word choice, or you don't really care how other people perceive you, period. Or at least that's how other people perceive you, if that makes sense. Other people are perceiving that you have a sharp tongue and that confrontation does not scare you. If you have to use harsh words, you will use them, and you will be unabashed about it. With the Empress in reverse, if you are a more feminine presenting energy, I'm kind of getting the vibe that you don't present traditionally feminine. You break that mold in that. For some of you guys, it might just be like tomboy energy of sorts. And if you are a more masculine energy, then I'm seeing that as you are traditionally masculine in a way. Just kind of like more of that, strong man, tough exterior kind of vibes. But with the Empress in reverse also, I'm kind of seeing that you might either be the kind of person that tends to avoid emotional release and expression more, or maybe you're not very comfortable with that, and that kind of is seen through other people. But like I said, in style, I'm kind of seeing that non-traditional feminine expression, if that makes sense. This kind of like, tough guy exterior of things. I'm also getting kind of like you're kind of the friend that rather than sitting down and like listening through problems and like talking people through things, you're more of like that tough it out, I know you're stronger than this, that like tough love vibe, if that makes sense. Like if somebody keeps going back to the same ex, you're not going to be the one that's like, oh, I'm so sorry you're going through this. This really sucks. You're more of the, are you fucking kidding me, you dumb bitch? What did I tell you the last time you did this? We're not fucking falling for this again. The Page of Pentacles in reverse, I think other people might perceive you as somebody who makes a strong start, but it's hard to follow through with things. This could just show up as a little bit of like a flaky energy when it comes to being invited to certain things, but I think it's a lot of like you start a lot of projects or you have a lot of great ideas, but it's hard for you to follow through and keep going forward with it. Which in a way, I would say maybe you're an idea man. For some of you guys, maybe you're meant to come up with these creative solutions, but you haven't really found like the group that helps you follow through with it, if that makes sense. Like for this group, I'm getting kind of like tank powerhouse energy as how other people perceive you. So, what's the, like the bouncer, the bodyguard kind of thing. You know what I mean? You are the powerhouse, but I think you also have this ability to come up with all of these great ideas and this, with that rebellious, like want to change the system nature. I think it's just about A, finding steps forward, but B, also calling in the tribe of people that you would need to follow through with a specific idea. If you wanted to start a nonprofit program of sorts, you can't do that alone. You can be the founder, but you're going to need other subsects filled and other roles filled within a group in order to make it actually take off. And with this Three of Cups in reverse, I think a lot of people see you as more of that lone wolf. With the way that they're all like in reverse here, and it looks like to me, it kind of looks like they're reaching for the cups rather than holding the cups when they're in reverse. And I think that's people reaching out to you to try to, whether it be hang out with you or invite you to different things or include you within groups. Lone wolf is what comes to mind for you guys. And I don't think it has to always be that way. I think there is a tribe of people out there that if they're not reaching out to you currently, that they will be. And I think it's okay. I think I'm here to tell you it's okay to trust other people. You don't have to do it all alone. But yeah, with how other people perceive you, I'm seeing a lot of, like I said, there's that stubbornness, there's that not adhering to what people want to see from you, not adhering to tradition. And also, maybe some people might think that you're a little quick to anger with the certain way that you handle things. That might not always be the case, but I think if you're easy to shut down in certain situations, or you're very easy to clap back. I think for a lot of it, it's just the fact that you are no bullshit and don't really have a filter, that people get confused as to what you mean. I don't think you always say what you mean, if that makes sense, going back to that sharp tongue that we have here. I think it's a lot of, if something happens, you're going to get reactive and you might get a little explosive, but not in the way that, like, what you don't think what you say has as much of an impact as it does, if that makes sense. And I think for some people it might just be, some people are dedicated to misinterpreting you. But I think for others, maybe if it's like a friend that's coming up to you and saying, "Hey, let's talk about what just happened," maybe listen to them a little bit, because I think it's going to shift your perspective on kind of how you present yourself into the world. Because I do get this vibe of intimidating is what comes to mind. I think you do intimidate a lot of people, and that's easy to do when you are such a strong personality. And I'm not telling you to change for anybody. Like I said, I think your friends kind of have, and the people that you love kind of have a good handle and understanding of who you are and how you present yourself. But I think it's more of, there's this feeling of unfairness that I'm kind of getting from you, where it's almost like it's unfair that people perceive me a certain way or see me in a certain light. And think of it more as, if this is your authentic expression of you to a degree, then this is just the filter out of the bullshit. You know what I mean? If you are expressing yourself what feels right to you and is who you are, then that's just gonna filter away anybody that's not meant to be in your life. The people that take the time to understand you and want to be with you, those are the ones that are meant to be there. But I'm also kind of hearing that if you keep pushing them away, there's only so much they can do. So take that as you will. I'm also kind of gathering that maybe recently you've kind of been having this pessimistic energy, or maybe this is a long-term pessimistic energy that people have been seeing from you, which is ironic when it comes to the fact, maybe it's pessimism about your own life and outcomes and things that happen to you, because it feels like when somebody else is down in the dumps, you are the person to, like I said, give them motivational speech to push them forward. But with certain things that happen to you or certain things that have happened surrounding you, it almost feels like you have this hopeless, like, yeah, well, all that's gonna happen, life is shit and then we die. What are you gonna do about it? And like I said, I feel like there's a friend here that if you talk to them, I think it's your turn for the pep talk. But I think it's also a rewriting of that perspective in the fact that, like I said, if you're the person that can sit there and you can see all of the good that your friends can do, and you can see all of the potential that they have, and you can see all of the good in their life, then why can't you see it for your own? And I know things get muddled and it gets hard when we go through certain experiences, especially if they continue to plague us over and over, but I don't think these experiences were meant to plague you forever. And I think within fixating on these certain experiences that have hurt you or have betrayed you, it's taking you away from seeing all of the good around you. I think escapism came to mind as I was saying that, so maybe escapism is a little bit of a wall to climb for this group. Finding ways to be a little bit more present in the moment so you can better appreciate them in the future, if that makes sense. But I think that's pretty much it. I think that's the main vibe of what we've gathered here. Your friends would like you to hang out a little bit more if they reach out, or if you'd like to reach out and get something together. I I think it could really be something. But if nothing else, I hope this message was a little bit of fun for you and gave you a little bit of insight as to kind of what's going on, and just for an extra bit of fun, how other people perceive you. If you are interested in booking a personal reading with me, please check out the link in the description. Check out my website. I would love to do a reading for you. But if nothing else, hope we had fun today. Love and light, and thank you for staying, my friend. Hello to my pile 2 with the little seashell scrap that we've got here. Today we are picking up a read on your energy currently, and how other people might be perceiving you. Start off, I did get a song message, and you guys got Pretty Please by Moonlight Scorpio. And within that, I was kind of getting like a siren vibe to it. So whether that be you are musically inclined and you do use your singing voice quite a bit, or you have a very beautiful singing voice, or you just have a way to command a crowd, especially of, I was going to say the opposite sex, but I think it's the desired sex, because whether you're, wherever you fall on the sexuality spectrum, whoever you're trying to like bring in to your life for romantic or sexual options, we'll say, that you kind of just have this way to almost hypnotize people in a sense. This kind of like lulling, whether for good or bad, but I am kind of getting lady killer, man eater vibes with this group, quite possibly. So we'll get into that a little bit deeper. Let's start here with your crystal card, to which you guys got Labradorite. And in the Labradorite card, it says, Realism, mediumship. Where do you delude yourself? Labradorite, the slayer of illusion, lets you see what's real. After pain, knowledge and greatness of mind arise. And I'm kind of getting this dual message here, where I think that you are the kind of person that takes somebody out of their delusion, but at the same time, you kind of live in Delulu land, if that makes sense. I feel like this is my group of mystical, connected to otherworldly things. I do get a strong relationship with water for this group, whether that just be a strong connection with your emotions or like actual connection with water itself. Like I said, going back to the siren thing, I could totally see you guys feeling more at home in water. But I'm also kind of getting this, like, I think your aura is just calming to some people. Whether you use that for good or evil is up to your fucking discretion. Like I said, I get man-eater, lady killer from some of you guys. And the only take it if it resonates, but you could have strong or prominent Virgo and Cancer placements in your natal chart or in your astrological chart. Like I said, just take what resonates and leave the rest. Just a little bit of tidbit there. But I do think that, like I was saying, you have this just calming essence about you as it is. So I think that people do find it much easier to be vulnerable with you. And it's really up to your discretion, like I said, whether you use it for quote-unquote good or evil. You know what I mean? Is it a false sense of security, or are you really this calming energy that can help people, if that makes sense? But let's get into where your current energies are kind of laying here. We have the 8 of Cups in reverse, followed by the 7 of Cups. Which is very funny that we're getting so many cups for the water tuning group, so to speak. With the 8 of Cups in reverse, I see that you are really struggling to move on from something or someone right now, which is a very similar message to what the first group got. But more of in a sense of this thing you're trying to move on from, or this thing that you're being called to move on from almost, you're wondering if this is an option for you, if that makes sense. I'm getting this, you have a lot of options presented, or you're waiting for a lot of options to come in a certain venue of your life. This could be romance, career, platonic, just a lot of choice to be made here. And there's one specific one that you are having trouble moving on from. And attachment comes to mind when I'm saying this. And so if we're looking at whatever this is with that lens of attachment, is this something that is holding you back the more you hold on to it, is kind of the question here. If you want to figure out if an option is right for you, one of the easiest ways to do it is to ask the universe for some signs, some symbols, some synchronicities. I mean, you could always get your hands dirty if you so chose and just try whatever option is presented to you and move forward accordingly. Or you could ask for a little bit more clarity from the universe. And trust and believe if something is meant for you or not meant for you, the universe will provide you with that clarity. If you are ever this, as you can see here, he's kind of pointing around, doesn't know which option is the one that is going to be right for him. And rather than testing all of these bowls out to see which one has what he's looking for, he could just ask, hey, universe, all of these bowls are so different. I want to see this specific sign or symbol if this is meant for me, or this specific sign or symbol if this is not meant for me. Or, like I said, just ask for clarity and the universe will provide it. It's not always in the way that we expect, but it will be provided. But I think that whatever this specific thing is that you're moving on from, that you're not moving on from currently, it's kind of taking a lot of your energy here. I'm also seeing a lot of blue. So whether or not you use it now, I think your throat chakra is very powerful and prevalent in your life or in this specific part of your life. I'm hearing expression, I'm hearing truth, I'm hearing clarity. So I think for a lot of you guys, the answer just comes in within speaking your truth, whether this is to a specific person or in a specific situation that you kind of feel held back in. You need to express how you feel, what you've been feeling or what you've been going through. And I think that that's going to make things click and fall into place, if that makes sense. And if you're a little afraid to go and speak your truth right away to whoever you need to or about whatever you need to, maybe journal about it first or talk it through with a friend first to kind of like find that clarity. And if you're hesitant to talk to a friend because you think you're going to sound crazy or you're a little ashamed of whatever's going on here, I need you to know that if a friend would shame you, then they're not a friend, if that makes sense. And let's not get it twisted. A little playful, like, banter back and forth where you say something, your friend says whatever. As long as you are being real with them and you're like, hey, this is very vulnerable for me to open up and speak to you about, I think your friend is going to receive it in the right way and help you forward, if that makes sense. But I don't want to tell you to move on from something prematurely if there is this strong of an attachment yet. But I think right now, if you're not ready to speak your truth, then moving forward is the right option here. Because if something is meant for you, it will always find its way back to you. And if something is not meant for you, well, then don't worry about it, because something better will come in. The mediumship here too, like I said earlier, you guys have this connection to the unknown, to the things unseen. So I don't think it's crazy to tell you guys to ask for a sign, symbol, or synchronicity if you need it. But I do think that even receiving that sign, symbol, or synchronicity is not going to be enough for you. And I don't know if it's because of this fear that we're seeing here or this attachment, but clarity comes in truth. So take that as you will. Anyway, let's get into the idea of, I have these tarot cards out now, so we can figure out how other people might be perceiving you at this time. So let's see what comes out here. How are other people perceiving my seashell sirens? Let's see what comes through here. Oh, I'll take that. 7 of Wands. 4 of Swords in reverse. Someone needs a nap. 10 of Cups. And the 6 of Cups in reverse. This could just be because of the current energy you're in, but people are perceiving you as somebody who is on guard and ready for battle. This could be in the sense that you have been a little more agitated recently, and maybe that's kind of coming out in your relationships or with people that you're just meeting. Or this could, like I said, this could be a bubbling up of some things that have happened right now, so you are a little more aggressive than normal. I get this vibe that this group is usually very chill and very with the flow, and things don't normally shake them, but something right now is forcing you to be on your energetic guard at least. So I feel like you're not very opening to people at the moment, and furthermore, you're kind of waiting for somebody to strike so you can be at the ready. I'm also, like I said, somebody needs a nap here. I think a lot of people are perceiving you as somebody who has worked their life away to an extent. Somebody who's really been on the grind, and somebody who, like I said, needs a nap. Somebody who needs to have a little bit more fun. But at the same time, a lot of people perceive you as somebody who has or is obtaining their dreams, who kind of brings that rainbow, brings that wish fulfillment for other people. I see that you're very connected to your family here, and a lot of people see you as somebody who's very ride or die for your family, whether that be blood related or chosen family. There's something here about you being a family person. The term family man comes to mind, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a masculine or feminine energy here. I just think that you are very protective and caring over the people that you love, and that you bring a lot of joy into their lives. I think a lot of the people that you are close to feel like they can be that inner child with you. A lot of people perceive you as somebody who is a little bit more goofy and go with the flow and fun, which is why it's very confusing to see you in this defensive state right now. But I'm also kind of seeing that you're not in a very, you're not very giving, if that makes sense. Maybe, like I said earlier, you have that kind of aura that's calming and that makes people feel like they can be vulnerable with you, but I kind of see you as somebody who is more on their guard. So if somebody does offer you something, you don't always offer up the same in turn. Like if somebody tells you something personal and vulnerable, you're more of, I'll hear that information and I'll assess it rather than I will return that information kind of vibe. Somebody who's got their cards very close to their chest here. You might be into dancing or some sort of movement with your body in some way, and I think that a lot of people admire that about you, whether it be the way that you move or the progress in it, the discipline of it. I do see you as somebody who will bite the bullet and go through the day-to-day if you need to, but generally you do end up finding a way to have fun at the end of the day, or finding a way to make things more fun, so to speak. But I'm hearing the term healthy habits. And then it guided me back to this Four of Swords in reverse, which kind of tells me that I think a lot of people see either the kind of life that you've been living or the habits that you have might eventually, well, to put it simply, it looks like this person is falling on those swords or about to fall on those swords from the position that it's in. And maybe this has happened before with the kind of life that you have, where you have lived a certain way, if that makes sense, and it has come and bit you in the ass because you have made a weird decision or repercussions of something came through. And I think the people you love might be worried about a certain way you've been living. Maybe you're an adrenaline junkie and you find yourself street racing a little bit, or maybe you do partake in partying a little bit sometimes, and that does lead you to some not so great decisions. Impulsive is the word that comes to mind, truly. But I do think that you find a way to find the positivity of it, if that makes sense. Whether that be to take these poor decisions and turn them into lessons and move forward accordingly, or when you are in a down state or in a weird position in life, you will find the sun around the corner, if that makes sense. Like even up here in the Eight of Cups, even with this hesitancy to grieve and move away from something, there's still this sun over here. I think that while most of this feels cloudy and down right now, you're still finding a way to see the positive in things, which I do think is a beautiful gift. But don't let that deter from the experience of now either. If you have to feel through something, feel through it. You know what I mean? Let yourself see the reality of a situation. Like I said, sometimes I feel like you guys find yourself in Delulu land and you're not really able to see things as they are, if that makes sense. This is another group, though, that I think to an extent we see loner energy here. And not in like the lone wolf sense, but more of like when you are in a group of people, other people notice that you almost have your foot out the door, if that makes sense. This could be the same in relationships as well. You always kind of have a foot out the door, meaning you kind of mesh with the vibe, you're kind of there, but you have your escape route set up if you need to. Also, with the Six of Cups in reverse, I'm kind of getting a go, go, go energy where you're not really one to stop and smell the roses. You are more of on to the next thing each moment. I'm hearing workaholic. That could mesh for some of you. Maybe you're always looking for something to do or something to mesh yourself in, some sort of project or some sort of, like I said, work just might be very prevalent for you guys. Work-life balance, I'm hearing, so maybe that's something to look into. But I do see you guys as kind of like, quote unquote, the magic of the group. So if you're with a group and you're hanging out and just the vibes are just vibing, you're the kind of person that's like, all of a sudden, oh, hey, maybe we should go to this location, or maybe we should try to do this. And everybody's kind of skeptical at first because it's like, that feels so out of place. But then everybody does it and it's almost like a huge gift, like something very interesting stems from it, or everybody has a lot of fun that they didn't expect to have, or like I said, it's like a little bit of magic in the mundane almost. But I will say, if you are a slayer of illusions for other people, it's time for you to armor up and slay some of your own illusions here. And I think within that you're going to find more peace of mind, if that makes sense. And I think that this group, as much as they can survive in chaos, I think they thrive in peace. And I think a lot of your friends are hoping that you find that peaceful energy again. A lot of your friends, a lot of your family, I'm hearing, kind of miss that peaceful energy. Take that as you will. It's your life to live. Your decisions are yours alone, my friend. But the final thing I'm kind of getting is a chameleon. I think a lot of you guys are very easy to fit into whatever vibe you're thrown into, whether it is just this easy adapting or you're a multifaceted individual yourself. I think you bring a lot of joy to a lot of the groups that you are in, and a lot of magic as well. And I think that's pretty much all I have for this reading. So if nothing else, I hope that this helped. I hope it provided some clarity, and I hope that it was just fun to get a reading. If you're interested in booking a personal reading with me, please check the link to my website in the description below. I would love to work with you. Please book a reading with me. It'd be awesome. Anyway, if nothing else, I hope that this message helped and we had fun here. Love and light, and thank you for staying, my friend. Bye. Hello to my butterfly group. Today we are getting a read on your energy, and then we're going to end with how other people perceive your energy. If you chose the butterfly, this is going to be for you. The song message I picked up on first was Bottle It Up by Sarah Bareilles, and with that, I'm already getting the strength of this group, the power of this group, the confidence of this group, and it's beautiful. Because you chose the butterfly pendant, I'm kind of getting this vibe that you guys you've been through that transformation. Oh, also, if it resonates, don't try to force it to fit, but you might have prevalent or prominent Scorpio or Aries placement somewhere in your chart, something to take a look at if you're interested. But yeah, I get this, you guys have metamorphosized, whether it be countless times within your life or one prevalent time that kind of makes sense right now as I'm saying it. But your wings are spread and dry and you are ready to fly, my friend. So let's get a little deeper into this reading. Oh, and if you're interested in the song message, it will be linked in the description below. So please take a look at it if you so choose. So for your crystal card, we got Garnet, which says Crisis Management. Your situation is stuck. Garnet solves the chaos and encourages your soul thereafter. It strengthens your confidence in your own power. And like I said, I already got that power vibe and confidence vibe within this group. Whether or not you struggle with it sometimes, it comes across that way. And I think that you feel that in your soul and your gut as well. And for a lot of other people, you might be the person that they come to when they're confused or in a weird situation. You are the person to garner that perspective and help them believe in their own power. Similar to the first group in a way, I feel like you are the friend that gives the pep talk. But I think even further than that, you might play therapist to friend for your friend sometime. You might play therapist to your group of friends sometimes. You are the person that I think people come to when they really are at their lowest low or in a situation that they just can't make sense of. And you're there unraveling the string to put it on the bulletin board with them, if that makes sense. You got the red string, you got the tacks out, and you are going to make sense of this situation with them. You are, in your own way, a powerhouse, but I think it's in a way that it kind of speaks for itself, if that makes sense. You might not be somebody to seek out the confrontation, but when it does arise, you are not one to completely shy away from it. You are going to stand up for what you believe in, stand up for what's right, but you're not going to force your beliefs on anybody, and you're not going to force anybody to change. I think this is more of an acceptant group where you see things as they are, and you react and adjust accordingly. Like, if something is not meant for you, you're on to the next thing. You're not going to mess with that. You know what I mean? You're not going to let something shake your energy. I think this is more of the protect my peace kind of group. I'm also, like I said, I'm getting diva vibes with this group for real. If we're going to be honest, I am getting cunty as fuck in the best way possible. I am getting, you can be the star of the show if you want to. Not that that's always like your vibe, but you walk into a room and there's this unspoken seeing of your energy, if that makes sense. People can tell that you are not one to be messed with, and people can tell that you are on your throne, babe. So in your current energy, we have the Eight of Swords in reverse, followed by the Four of Cups in reverse. With the Eight of Swords in reverse here, I could kind of see you guys maybe struggling with that confidence and power recently. I do think that you guys know and have this sense of your confidence and power, but I think maybe there's been some questioning of it. Especially paired with this Four of Cups in reverse, which kind of gives me this, this vibe of adahenia, if that's how you pronounce it, and apathy. Where it almost feels like you are not currently finding joys in the position that you're in, maybe in the things that you normally do or the people you normally hang out with. It's just not as fulfilling as it once was. And I think that's partially because of this stuck energy that we find ourselves in. But I do think that these are a lot of like mental blocks to be pushed through. It could just be because of the time of year it is, the seasons that we're in. But I think it also could just be this questioning of yourself from certain situations that you've been put in. Maybe it's this need to redirect your perspective on certain things. Maybe things aren't falling into place at the timing that you expected, or things aren't unfolding the way that you expected them to be. And it's kind of, I almost see this as the colors are draining from this cup, from the position that it's in. And I think you're being asked to go back to when you were a child, if that makes sense. Try to look at things from that lens, because it's very easy to forget the magic when it becomes a mundane part of our everyday. Like when you first start seeing angel numbers, for example, all of a sudden, world is brand new again. Oh my goodness, angel numbers. There's something from the other world that is trying to get my attention and trying to send me messages. And then you see them every day and it just becomes another part of your mundane routine. I think we are being asked to look at the magic in the mundane. Find ways to bring magic into your everyday life again, if that makes sense. Turning your cup of coffee in the morning to a ritual. Turning the run you go on to an adventure, if that makes sense. Maybe if you're used to running on the sidewalk every day and doing something in your neighborhood, finding somewhere else to go for your daily run. Finding a way to turn that project into something that, I almost get this sense of like somebody's doing paperwork and they turn it into like, the bomb is going to detonate if we don't get this through in this amount of time. Come on, we need to hurry. Let's go. Imagination. Finding play in the things that don't feel like they're sparking joy anymore. Maybe you've been working on a project for a long time and you don't like how it looks anymore. Well, it's your project to work on. Let's change that. It's this perspective shift here to help you find joy in things again. But I think that's pretty much it for what I have here. Also, if it feels like you are being pulled into separate directions a little too much, call your energy back into yourself. Like there's this idea here where all of these birds are pulling at this string, pulling her one way or another. And I'm almost seeing that as like a call back your energy from all places and situations and people. Take a mental stock of what actually serves you here and what you're doing through the motions. Figure out what is meant to stay and maybe what can be put on the back burner for now or what needs to be let go of, if that makes sense. But anyway, let's see how other people kind of perceive your energy currently. How are other people looking at you currently? Let's take this one. Oh, the Fool. We meet again. All right, and let's get a couple more cards here. Three of Cups in reverse. Page of Pentacles in reverse. These are repeats from another group. There might be some messages for you within another group, or you might be reflecting the energies of another group here. But the Queen of Wands, oh, come on, love. This is perfect for your energy. I love to see it. So whether or not there are times that confusion and insecurity plague you and it makes you wonder if you should do a certain thing or if you shouldn't, or you're hesitant on a certain thing, people see you as the type of person who doesn't give a fuck, who doesn't care what anybody else thinks or their input on something. You are going to take a chance on something that you want to take a chance on. And I think for a lot of you guys, you are currently taking a chance on something right now. And some people might see it as naive. You are towards the end of a cliff here, but I think a lot of people see it as you're just that secure within yourself. That if you want to take a chance on something, you're going to take a chance on something. I'm also like with the sun kind of beaming on the Fool here, I get this idea that like you have this glow about you where it almost feels like the sun follows you, if that makes sense. Like fortune does come your way in most scenarios and things do end up working in your favor. I'm also seeing that maybe there is some sort of pet, companion, or partner that people associate with you really easily. Like I said, this could, in a sense, just be like your pet and you are very connected, or this could be a specific friend or family member that you're very connected with and people kind of associate you two as a duo. But even in stagnancy, even when things feel icy and cold, you find a way to bring the warmth into a group. With the Three of Cups in reverse, I do see that maybe people perceive you as somebody who doesn't hold on to a group too much, if that makes sense. Kind of like a nomad energy. Maybe you bounce around to different friend groups or different groups of people. Or maybe you just don't have too much emotional investment or stake in a specific group, and people kind of just see you as somebody who garners a lot of other energies in your life, if that makes sense. I do see a little bit of people see this naivety to you, maybe this anxiousness at times. I'm getting a very similar message from another group, as it might be that you have a lot of great ideas. It's just hard to follow through at times, or maybe it's not about the following through, but it's about the finding the people to, or finding the connections to kind of make a great idea take off in a sense. But overall, I'm seeing this Queen of Wands energy, which comes back to people do perceive you as this confident, steady, strong, just powerful energy. I am seeing a lot of passion and creativity as well, but I think you're a very balanced individual. The only thing we haven't gotten in these tarot cards was like, we got all the elements. We've got cups, pentacles, wands. We just don't have swords here. So I do see you as more of a multifaceted individual in a sense. You do have a lot of strengths in a lot of areas, and in places that you find more weakness, I think, I think it manifests as you learning more to turn that weakness into a strength. But with the lack of swords, I am being called to think that a lot of people might see you as a more impulsive and like to your power rather than thinking and strategizing energy. Take that as you will. I think that goes very well with the Fool here, where it looks like they're taking a leap of faith. They're not really thinking about it first. They're just doing it and going for it. But I also see with this Queen of Wands specifically, I see a leader here. And whether you truly believe and embody that energy within yourself, I think a lot of other people, whether consciously or subconsciously, see you as the leader in many scenarios. This could be at work, this could be in friend groups, this could be in your family. You are the person that directs the vibe and comes up with the plan. Whether it be a plan that you've actually thought out, I do think it's more of like a last second, hey guys, in the group chat, hey guys, it's a Saturday. What's the vibe? Where are we going first? Should we head over to this dive bar? I'm also... with the white flower here that the Fool is holding, I'm also seeing this like innocence and sense of purity here. And I think that a lot of the people that come into contact with you do see you in this, not just naive, but like I said, this purity sense. There is a sort of light about you that kind of, it parallels or reflects this kind of childlike wonder. And I think that's a little bit of what's missing right now that you're being called to re-embody, if that makes sense. That kind of person that sees a candle and doesn't just see a candle that's making a scent or has a flame, but really thinks of the wonder in the fact that, like, maybe it's this mental energy that we're missing right now, but I think that you guys are true thinkers when you really let yourself sit with it. Like, you don't just see the candle, you think of everything that led up to that candle being lit. Like, fire. When did we discover fire? How did we figure out how to make fire? And then we found out how to make fire into these little lighters or these little matches, and now we can burn candles. Well, even further than that, how crazy is it that we can easily burn a candle now? We can easily turn on lights with the flick of a switch. We can easily... there's just so much wonder that I think that you can have here, but I think it's being sort of stifled right now, if that makes sense. People don't see that sense of wonderment like they used to with you. There's almost this too much to the grind energy here. This working so diligently on something because you want to see results that it's kind of sapping away some of the playful interest that you guys have in life. I'm also hearing banter, so maybe you guys are really big with one-liners or zippy comebacks. I think you guys make a lot of people laugh, and I think a lot of people enjoy that about you. I also see with the Fool kind of looking backwards but looking up, I think maybe you used to have this energy of holding on to the past a little bit much or kind of ruminating with things that have happened. And now people kind of see you using that as a means to, whether it be change or using that as a power. I'm a little confused on that, actually. I want to say people see you using that as a way to move forward now, rather than hindering and keeping you stuck like it used to. I'm seeing a lot of yellow for this group, so I think within... I mean, it goes back to that confidence and power energy we were talking about, but I do think that in this next chapter of your life, you're going to be using a lot of that energy. I also do think that sunflowers might be very prevalent for this group. Sunflowers might... I also see with the black cat here that there's a level of divine protection for you guys. And I think that people that come into contact with you don't just see your own ferocity and the way that you protect yourself, but they kind of get this sense of a divine protection of sorts. Like something unseen is protecting you and guiding your way. And it could be from specific situations, or it could be just a general vibe that some people pick up, which is why maybe some social situations don't take off, if that makes sense. If somebody feels threatened, they're not going to come forward. And I think beyond your own confident and powerful energy, there is something else about you that detracts the wrong people from coming forward. I think there's also this tiny bit of stubbornness energy to you guys as well. While I do think that you can be fairly open-minded, I think there are certain things that people notice that you are very strong in your opinion about, and you're not going to be wavered on, which I think is a beautiful thing. Could be something to take note of, though, in certain situations. But yeah, I think this is very similar to a message I got from another group. I do think that there are people that reach out to you or want you to reach out to them right now to create some sort of hangout, group sesh, maybe go do an activity, whatever it might be. As much as you are a leader and strong within yourself, how are you to be a leader if you don't have a group to lead? Is kind of the message that's coming through. So yes, have your own path and the things that you do for yourself, but I do think that this group would benefit from maybe stepping out of their comfort zone or their own little bubble a little bit more and socializing a little bit more, because there are people here that it seems like really want to reach out and see you. But I think that's the main bit of the message that I have here. If nothing else, I hope we had fun today. Maybe you got a little bit of help through this reading, whatever it might be. If you are interested in booking a personal reading with me, please check the link in the description. Check out my website. I would love to work with you. But yeah, thank you so much for staying for the reading, love. Love and light, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi, you're my first fourth group that I've ever had. So yay, big celebration there. Group 4, hi, you're the first of your kind. If you chose the matches, this reading is going to be for you. Today we are getting a read on your energy currently and kind of getting an idea of how other people might be perceiving your energy. With the matches here, there's a couple of things I can interpret from this right away. A, you guys might have short fuse when it comes to certain things. B, I can see a lot of passion, a lot of spark, a lot of grit, a lot of fire. A lot of fire. The song message that you guys got specifically, though, because I did get a song message for each group, was, "And the crowd goes," and it says on Spotify that it's by Chris Brochu. I'll have it linked in the description below if you want to check it out, but it is from Lemonade Mouth, the old Disney Channel original movie, so take that as you will. But the song itself is kind of like, the crowd is roaring for me. All these other bitches ain't shit. I am cool. I am the shit. I am the one. And I'm already getting that you guys are the life of the party. From even before I start this spread here, you guys bring the vibe to the function. But let's go and get into the cards now. I want to set these matches up all nice and fun. You guys got 2 matches here. So there's either you're paralleling with another energy, so to speak, or I kind of get the sense more of we're getting into this duality of you. Like, I feel like maybe you present a vibe to the function, but it feels like there's this whole separate idea to your entity to your identity, if that makes sense. But let's start out with the crystal card here. You guys got Dolomite, which is grounding endurance. Do you get lost every now and again? Dolomite helps you be authentic. This stone provides basic sense of trust, stability, and endurance. Your actions become playful. And as always, take what resonates and leave the rest. But if you're looking for some zodiac confirmation, you may have Sagittarius and or Virgo prevalent somewhere in your chart. I think hand in hand with that Sagittarius energy too, if you so have it, this kind of makes sense. Like I said, playful, you guys are the life of the party. You guys bring the vibe to the function. And I think there's something, while you can bring this sense of grounding and comfort and stability, I think part of that is just because of this childlike wonder to you guys. Like I said, you guys can light up a room with enthusiasm and with entertainment. But I do get kind of maybe an imposter syndrome vibe with it, where it's almost like, yeah, you can bring this bright and light energy to things, but maybe you don't feel that way very often when you're by yourself, and it creates this disconnect mentally where it's like, I can be this person for other people, but this person is not me, in a sense. This kind of idea that you see yourself in a melancholic light, but everybody sees you as the light.
And I think it's this disconnect between showing some of your authenticity, but also you not realizing that you have this light even when you're not performing, even when you're not trying to bring up the vibes in a function, even when you're not being the life of the party. This energy is still your energy. This is still you. These two truths of the happy and the sad person, I get that image of like the two masks where one of them is smiling, the other one is frowning. You can be both and you are both. It's just about when it shows up and how you choose to use that energy, if that makes sense. This should not be I shouldn't say shouldn't. This feels like it's this disconnect of the full self. Like you've created these two separate selves within you. And I think people that are closer to you might have seen that and picked up on that energy, but I think when people first meet you, that's where you get that confusion in your own mind because they see you as the performer rather than the actor, if that's kind of making sense. But let's get into some more of your current energy. We have the Star in reverse followed by the Three of Swords in reverse. And I think that's a lot where more of this disconnect is coming in right now because I see that you're kind of giving up hope on something. It feels like maybe you've lost something or someone, you're grieving a certain energy. This is stemming from, this could be something that currently happened, or this could be something that's been happening throughout your life, a reoccurring theme. There's this sense of betrayal here, this sense of being stabbed in the back, of true pain and grief and sadness. And I think a lot of times you show up as this star upright energy for so many other people, this hope, this beacon of light, this giving them an idea of you can move forward, you can do this. But this feels like it's been stifled quite a bit right now because of the healing that you're currently going through, because of the pain that you're currently experiencing. And I'm here to say that these things that have happened, these experiences you've had, these feelings that you're going through do not define you. I get the sense of somebody that's like, I feel pathetic for the way that I reacted in this certain situation. But you are not pathetic. Feeling a certain way does not dictate what you really are. And I think there's this, back with this grounding energy here, I think there's this need to ground yourself in reality, if that makes sense. I think this group kind of lets themselves fall into these rumination spirals where it's easy to make a mountain out of a molehill, so to speak, where any little fuck up or any little hiccup along the way kind of becomes this tumultuous obstacle to jump around or to have to handle. And I think that's where you're being asked to embody more of your playful energy. Take things a little less seriously. Because things that have happened cannot be changed. They have happened. All we can do is continue to move forward with what we know now that we've been through the experience, if that makes sense. There's this call to bring back your childlike wonder into things, to enjoy the moments rather than stress about what's going to happen once the moment is over, or stress in the moment of what could potentially happen. I get a heavy sense of disaster planning for this group, and I think it's because we are in this anxious energy currently. Granted, it's from this healing. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with how you are feeling currently. What I am saying is that things are not as dark as they seem. And if we find that sense of play and enjoyment in life again, I think you're going to find that sense of wonder come back to you. Like I said, grounding energy is definitely going to help here, whether you do breathing exercises, yoga, maybe just going outside and standing in the sun for 5 minutes, or going to a playground, or hanging out, picnic at the park kind of vibes. I'm hearing, are we out of the woods? To that, I think there's a certain situation or scenario that's been kind of plaguing you, and there's a lot of what ifs associated with it. And I think because a lot of the string here makes me think that you are tied to a specific person or a specific outcome. And the way that you'll know if you're out of the woods is if you see the light peek through again. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of advice that I picked up on recently, where if you are somebody who is maybe emotions overtake you very easily, so you find yourself trying to avoid them a little bit more or suppress them a little bit more or do what you can to feel normal again rather than going through the emotion, stop asking yourself why and start asking yourself what. Not why am I feeling sad, so you can find the answer of why you're feeling sad and then just pretend that you're not sad anymore. But instead of, it's what am I feeling? I am feeling sad. What is this sadness feeling like? Well, I feel it in this area of my body. I feel it in the heaviness of my chest. Allow yourself to feel it rather than completely understand it, if that makes sense. Because intellectualizing, understanding our emotions it's only going to provide an immediate comfort rather than a long-term healing, if that makes sense. And there's nothing wrong with your emotions. There is nothing that should be shamed of feeling a specific way. Even if you think that it's unfair for you to feel a specific way in a certain scenario, there's no unfairness to your feelings. Healing is not in the suppression and letting go of the emotion, completely discarding it. Healing is in the acceptance of how we are feeling and better correcting our behaviors in the future. Your first thought, your first initial reaction is not your fault, but it is how you hold yourself, how you continue to move forward, the action you take that becomes your responsibility. And I do think that this group is very intuitive in a sense. And I think there's something to explore here with your intuition. If you so choose, I think that you're being called, if you are interested, to check out and research into magic and intuitive power and kind of call that into your life a little bit more if that's a route that you want to choose. I think, like I said, you have a lot of gut feelings and this connection to the things unseen, but it's really about if you want to start taking the steps forward and practice these abilities. Anyway, let's get into some tarot cards to see how other people might be perceiving your energy currently. How do other people perceive my Sparky group? We're going to call you the Sparky Twins. How the Sparky Twins doing? Oh, you guys got an extra card too. Oh, you got a couple extra cards. So I'm going to take this as you guys need a little bit extra of a message right now. You got more cards than the rest of the groups did. And I think we're going to get into a huge spread here. All right. Well, had to do it to him, I guess. I just did a whole ass recording before things made sense, and now they make sense. Between the duality of this duality that is not integrated within you, we have those two sides. One side, another side. When people first get to know you, and as people get to know you, if that makes sense. I am going to add a couple of the messages that I was saying a minute ago because I think that they might help provide some clarity here as well. There is this idea of when you travel or explore something new, whether that be going to a new location, trying something new, a new hobby, I think people do see it as you kind of light up a bit more in a sense. Like there is a lighter aura to you, like this glowing, this like lighter sense of a calming breath. And I do think in every new location you find somebody or some people to kind of be around you. And I do want to also add that you are somebody who sees the dark in the light and the light within the dark. If a situation's crummy, you see the bright side. If a situation looks all sunshiny and rainbows, you do find the darkness peeking through. No rose-colored glasses for y'all. But let's start here with this top energy and talk about how other people perceive you before they get to know you. I think there's this little funny extra bit here of like people might perceive you as a top at first, and then when they get to know you, there's like this bottom energy to it. And I'm not taking that as the sexual vibe. I'm taking it more as people might think you're big dog until they get to know your baby girl. And let's get into this more because this just got so much more interesting. So I am going to preface this by saying all other groups got 3 cards and the bottom of the deck energy, but because we have that that call to integrate right now, for lack of a better term, where it feels like there are two halves of you and one is real and one is not, that imposter syndrome coming through, it's broken apart into these two groups. So for the way that other people perceive you, it seems like people think that there's this mysteriousness to you. This, I'm hearing like the tall, dark, and handsome kind of vibe, that kind of mystery, bad boy energy. People think that you are more self-serving. People think that you're not going to consider how a scenario will play out. People have, when they come into contact with you, think that you're going to put yourself first no matter the outcome. There's this idea that people see you as somebody who continues to move forward even in misfortune and always has somebody at your side. That they kind of see you as somebody who's like, not quite like a girl on each arm kind of vibe, but more of this like, you will have people with you in group scenarios and parties and whatever settings, like social settings. You will have your right and left hand men, if that makes sense. Or you will have a couple people there that, like I said, I think a lot of people see you in this position of power where it's almost like, I'm not saying this is what it is, but it's almost like these people are serving you. They're at your will, if that makes sense. Ride or die kind of shit. And I'm also getting this sense that, like, people see you as a calm in still situations. Like, you have a good handle of balance, and that there's almost this light to you. Like, things just come to you and make sense to you. Like, even if you do feel stuck for a while or you feel stagnant in a certain position, it's just going to work out and make sense for you. There's this idea, like I said, where people think there's some people might perceive there to be some sort of malintent or self-serving in the way that you operate with the world. Like, you're going to put your needs first and you're going to make sure that your needs are met no matter the cost. And also this like traveler energy where maybe you've been to a lot of places before or you've explored a lot of different, like I feel like a lot of people see that you've lived a lot of lives, so to speak. And there's this constant like of just you, if that makes sense. Like I know we see some people here in the sense of like there are people, there's this constant though where you are the leader, the main character energy, if that makes sense. And I think for a lot of people, it almost stems for them to think of like this egotistical. I think a lot of people that come into contact with that think that you are, like I said, it kind of goes in hand with the song message that we got. This kind of egotistical, I know I'm the shit, I am the leader, I am the king kind of energy. But then we get into kind of more of the people that you let into your inner circle, the people that you let get to know you. When you break down this barrier of trying to perform all the time and you just let them see the reality of like what you're going through and beyond the presentation of yourself, how you're feeling, people recognize that you're just a person trying to figure out your shit. You don't always know the step forward, but you're going to try to find a way to move forward in spite of it. That sometimes you're not just getting epiphanies on what you should do when you're feeling stagnant, but you're actually like, I'm almost getting a sense that this person is trying to follow this wand or ask the breeze what the next step forward is. There's like this youthful energy to it where a lot of people see you as this, you just know, you have the idea. But then when people get to know you, they're like, oh, they're just trial and error. They're experimenting. They're still trying to figure out, what the next step is too. And I'm also getting like a lot of mental chaos here where people tend to think at first that you have this self-serving, you're going to find your way to get what you want out of it. It's just a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of confusion in certain venues. There are a lot of things on your mind constantly. And a lot of like clouded, almost pessimism here, where I think people think that you can get away with whatever you want. When people get to know you, they're like, oh, no, there's this questioning of self-worth. There's this confusion. And where people think you have this right and left-hand man, you have people at your disposal, it's more of a no, you try to lead and help people because you specifically want to. It isn't this energy of I continue to garner people in my life because I want them to do things for me, but it's more of I'm here to help others. I want to guide others and help them find their own power and help them find their truth. These people come to me. I don't force these people into my life, and I don't force these people into a specific role. These people just feel comfortable with me. These people, believe it or not, like you. And in this dark, mysterious, could be bad boy, bad girl energy that we're seeing here, it's just this youthful curiosity, this lust for life, this desire for more, this thirst for knowledge, where people might think that you're trying to get to know them for some petty or self-serving purpose. The reality is that you just like to garner more information. You have this desire to get to know people beyond the mask. But what I think the reason that we're kind of seeing both here is because if you want to get to know people behind the mask, I think there's a little bit more give being asked here. I think, like I said, this disconnect is kind of coming in because it doesn't feel like you are being fully authentic in certain areas. You've created this mental disconnect, which I think creates this physical disconnect with when people initially meet you versus get to know you, which is not a bad thing either, you know? Like, you don't have to be more expressive in certain things or change anything about the way that you are. I'm just letting you know that this is kind of how it's manifesting right now. Which, to a degree, like, this is part of, you know, self-preservation, self-protection. You know, making sure that if people really think this way about you, fuck them, let them leave. But if people really want to take the time to get to know you, then they get to know all of this beauty here. But I am letting you know that, yeah, there is this, if you're wondering why some people are more hesitant to get close, or you're wondering why things seem a certain way with certain connections, this could be an idea of that of sorts. I think, yeah, with all the books here too, I think it does come back to a lot of this. People just don't understand why you want to get to know people so much or why you want to be there for people so much. It's this rare energy of you are someone who is not self-serving in a world of self-serving people. And a lot of people don't trust this authentic curiosity or giving energy that you have. And that's why it might manifest that the way that it does, where you might have conflict with random strangers or scenarios might play out in the way that they do. But like I said, the people that know you know who you are. And I think with the 2 pages here that there are quite a few partnerships, if not a specific partnership in your life, that does see you. As much as you, like I said, might try to play this, I am an actor and I am performing, I hate to break it to you, some people see beyond the performance and they see the actual actor. They don't just see the character that you're playing. And it's interesting here to me that on the top row, yes, we do have this black, which is this protective, mysterious energy. But a lot of this too is yellow. So a lot of people see you as this confident, powerful, unshakable, like nothing is going to break your ego here. But if we really get into it, we see a lot of this throat chakra energy with the blue and this gray here. And I'm seeing more of like beyond the ego that people perceive you to have. Once they get to know you, they see that you're really just a curious and confused person. That sometimes you do get muddled in your own thought. And sometimes things do feel a little too cloudy and anxiety takes over. But at the end of the day, and yeah, there's still some yellow here peeking through, which I think says that, you know, people still see a little bit of that confidence poke through, a little bit of that courage that they perceived you to have. But a lot of it is more of this authentic expression. You bring this authenticity and realness to the table when you actually let people get to know you. And I think you bring a lot of insight as well with a lot of this blue energy here. I think you're very good at expressing yourself and just speaking in general. I think you have a tendency to find the right words at times. It's just about, you know, how much of yourself you want to give in that situation, if that makes sense. I'm also seeing with the devil up here that people might think that you're only there for one thing when they first, like, know you or first get to know you. Maybe if you're talking to the sex of interest, so to speak, like, if you're talking to somebody that you might be interested in getting to know or date or something like that, they might think you're just in it to fuck. They might think you're just in it for sexual reasons, but there is something else beyond here. You do have a thirst for this intellectual connection with people. And like I said, I think it takes getting to know you a little bit to understand that. Like, if you see here, this dude is just looking at, you know, her body, and she's looking at the devil. So it gives you that idea that people perceive that you're in it for one thing, and they only see you in it for one thing. But there is so much more to you than that. And it's just about, you know, letting the right people in however you want to. But I think because you are such a... This group feels like they really do put themselves out there a lot, as in, like, in social situations, and maybe you are socializing a lot more than the average person. Which is why I think so many more people see you, and then, yeah, we get this disconnect here within that mental, like, how much of myself do I show the world? I don't know if I should trust people with what I'm really feeling. I think there's also that sense of maybe you feel like it could be a burden to let people see this side of you. But from the perspective I'm seeing here, if you would like some advice, this persona is nothing compared to the reality of who you are. And I think this persona can be fun, and, like, the right situation calls it, keep it coming out. But I do think that if you let more people see this vulnerability and you knock down your walls a little bit, you will be pleasantly surprised by how it is received. And I think once you realize that these aren't two separate sides of you, this is still all you, things are going to be a lot easier. Because like I said in the beginning, and I'll say it again, like I just said, there aren't two different yous within you. These two personas still make up the reality of who you are. You are still this, you know, confident, smart, know shit, are able to get your way in whatever scenario person, while also being the thirst for knowledge, wanting what's best for everybody, a little confused at times, but can still find your way through. It's just about understanding that, so to speak. Anyway, I think that's the main message of what I've got here. I'm hoping it wasn't too muddled. This one kind of threw me for a loop, I will be honest. But if nothing else, I hope this helped. I hope we had a little bit of fun today. If you're interested in booking a personal reading with me, please check out the link to my website in the description. I would love to work with you. And love and light. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye, friend!